thing globally on Netflix right now, so thank you guys. I also have a music project I'm coming out with in the next couple of weeks, so be prepared to get your dance on.
Hip-hop Peter!
We're about to get you guys boogieing, so it should be.
Where are you dropping that?
Yes.
It's a country album.
Outside of that, Austin and I are working with Fanward, which is doing great, and excited about that for you guys because we're creating some content that we're creating a whole different brand of things, so it's exciting. And now for Austin.
All eyes on you.
Did you guys hear when he picked up the microphone how he immediately went, hey guys? This guy is very white on. Anyway, I just thought that was cool because he does it better. So, so we talked a little bit about Fanward. Fanward is one of these things that we have been working on for almost 5 years, and it's FANWARD.com. If you want to check it out, we are the only.
What was that again? One more time.
FANWARD.com. We are the only online streaming network, and that does what we do. There are many networks out there, like GalaxyCon does some really cool stuff. They do amazing stuff with Comic-Cons. But what we do with Fanward is we bring the Comic-Con on a very personal level to the fans. We do Zooms, we have personal interaction. Every month this year, we're giving away a $600 3-0 Power Ranger kit signed by Walter and I. We do giveaways every month, and every month you're a member, you get entered for free. So if you're a member for 12 months, you've got 12 free entries into not just the 3-0 giveaway, but every giveaway we do. So people are always sending us videos about, hey man, I came home and there was a sign popped by Walter Jones on my door, and I didn't even know I won. We're like, guess what, you won. So cool stuff like that, you should check out Fanward. And then I personally started like 8 years ago. I came home from overseas and fans started talking to me about, man, I love Power Rangers, but I'm ready for something darker. I was like, oh, that's cool, I like darker, and unless it's on my steak. So anyway, I created something called Redemption Comics, and this is about what happens to Jason 30 years after he hangs up the red suit at the end of the world. It is a dark, post-apocalyptic, dystopian continuation. So if you are into, picture Lord of the Rings meets Mad Max, with Jason, who becomes a dark anti-hero named Reaper. So demons, cannibals, druids, scavengers, 49 books, animated series, video game that I will make. Lots of cool stuff coming out if you're into that. And then I've got my online store, austinstjohn.biz, and I'm gonna shut up now because they got a lot to talk about too.
Aside from going around and meeting all these wonderful, wonderful people, I have 2 film projects coming up. I just can't really give out more information about that yet.
Signed an NDA.
But if you follow me, I post stuff all the time, and I will keep that part of things updated. That's about it for me for now.
The secrecy. We like it though. Something to look forward to.
We can tell you, we have to keep it.
I'm okay with it.
I will hand you over to the incomparable Dave.
Papa Z! I am in the middle of writing the 4th book in my Lincoln Bright series, which is a paranormal supernatural series that wraps up with the 4th book. So that's what I'm working on currently. But I find it very interesting that 2 of us are exploring some darker aspects of the world, which is very interesting. But so that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Real quick question for you guys. After the panel, I know we've got some photo ops and things. How long are you guys gonna be around today?
4 or 5.
All right. So just before I forget, for those who are still looking for autographs and everything after the panel, I think we're headed back to the table. So if you want any of those signatures or anything, that's my little commercial for that. So just make sure you come back and see them. But I'd like to know if any of you guys have burning questions, if anybody wants to come up and ask a question for the folks. Or are we all very shy?
Oh, here comes Bob.
We're not shy.
It's the ball in our first
Hey, geeks, teach us how to beat people up.
This is your Minnesota Bulk speaking. I'm Chris.
What's up, Chris?
I want to know, Walter, what's your favorite part about filming Once and Always?
My favorite part. Can you guys hear me?
What?
Okay. My favorite part of filming Power Rangers Once and Always was my favorite part. It was doing the hip hop keto in the juice bar.
Oh, that's so cool.
I was like, oh, we got buddies. Let's go. All right. And the fact that Zach now is 30 years older and just a little more like he's a little more like, yeah, you guys, you shouldn't have done this. This is gonna be a problem. Let's go. So I like that. That was fun.
Well, first off, thank you for coming to Minnesota. That was quite a ways from California, and a couple of you, and Walter from Austin from Texas, as long as not setting anything on fire, so we got that going for us. It's on fan.
He's referencing a video I did on Fanward. Daniel works with Fanward on the back end. He does a lot of work and he's amazing.
Well, Walter, what took you so darn long to come back? Because I know you voice characters. I know that you know, I mean, come on, we've seen Jason's handsome face come back a few times. What took you so darn long? We need you.
Well, the problem was the fact that the show's been non-union since we left. In fact, that's the reason why we left the show. And because the show was non-union, so it wasn't really fair towards the actors. And after I left the show, I joined the union and continued to work for the last 30 years on varied amount of projects. So when I was asked to come back a few times before, it was non-union, and I couldn't go. And that's why I was like, all right, if you make it union, I'll be there. So this one was union. So finally, 28 years later, I was able to come back. 28 years, do you know that is a whole lifetime? It's like, that is like, you graduated high school, you went to college, you met a woman, you got married, you had babies, and now you're 28. That's crazy. And it's a long time. But I'm happy to come back and still be able to do the things that I do. I think if they had waited for the 35th anniversary, I would have been 61, and that might have been a problem.
Hi, honey. What's your name? Marriage. And what's your question?
I want to ask what your favorite fight is.
What your favorite fight is?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite fight for each of you?
Well, we gotta start with yours.
For me, at any time that they were going head to head with Goldar, that's my favorite fight. Goldar is very near and dear to my heart, and I really wish that we had our Goldar in the 2017 movie, but I just love that character so much. So anytime that they were going head to head with Goldar, Rangers. Yeah.
You never got a fight in those ever? Like not one putty showed up?
Oh, that was a fight.
Tell them about that.
No, I got to go evil once, which is probably the closest.
I don't know what evil.
Yeah, it was so great. So it was great, but
She looks so sweet. I know. Instead of I, she was like, hey.
I think for me, I loved the Green with Evil saga when I was fighting Goldar. That was intense. I mean, Goldar and I fought like boyfriend and girlfriend. It was clearly the boyfriend. So that was he's like, well, I don't know, maybe. That was a lot of fun. That was Ian Nguyen, who was probably one of our most talented martial artists that was in the suit for that fight. And little dude, but he moved that suit like he owned it. So he was a talented guy. I think my favorite big fight was probably Forever Red.
Oh.
That was a monster fight, and I loved every second of that one. From inside the old, we were in an electric. We went to California and they rented out this old dilapidated electric facility, hydroelectric facility. And I can remember the director coming up to me. He's like, "Hey man, can you still, do it?" And I was like, I just took 3 days off the fire department to come out here and film this. You're asking me, I'm running into burning buildings every day. And you're asking me if I can do this? Come on! So backflips and kicks and all sorts of stuff. And then it was epic. I loved it. So that was probably my favorite big fight.
You know, it always changes, because I would have memories of different things come up, and I see things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite fights. I've been to Santa Monica in Los Angeles, and when you go to Santa Monica, they have all these artists that do things, and they have like guys doing flips and so forth and so on. And I saw this group of guys do this pileup where they have one guy in the middle, and they pile up on top of them, and they like do this whole thing that makes it look like they're an amusement park ride. Well, we had a fight, and I think, it might have been the one where we were cleaning up the park. And I told them about this thing I'd seen in Santa Monica. I was like, hey, these guys are doing it, and the officer was like, let's do it. And I was like, okay. So I climb up on his shoulders, I lean back, and Amy Jo climbs up on my ankles. It's Vasquez rocks. And Austin gets in the middle, and we start turning and fighting putties that way. It was crazy. It was like this big ride. It was like an amusement park ride, but it was crazy.
And I remember Amy, once you got on it, he was like, can you hold me?
It was like, you add 2 more inches to this, two more pounds. But it was, this guy, he was so freaking strong back then. It was like, yo, I mean, I just remember his legs were like so big, and you were like, dang, son, what are you doing? What are you eating? Because he just never stopped working out. Every day he was working out, so it was great. But that was one of my favorite fights.
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
Thank you.
What's your name? What's your name? What is it?
Marilyn.
Marilyn. Thank you, Marilyn. That was awesome.
Hi, sir. What's your name?
My name is James.
James, what's your question?
It's kind of a multiple part, kind of touches what she said, but I know she asked us fights, but favorite part of the time the production of the series or event in the series, as far as like if there's a certain scene or thing that the storyline kind of thing. What was your favorite part as far as in that situation, or is there other production stuff behind the scenes that we don't see in the show that you encountered?
My favorite part was when we filmed the pilot. I mean, that was my first job in LA. It was the biggest job that I did in LA, and
When you still had hair.
Ew.
back when I was young and beautiful. But I mean, it's going to sound cheesy, but it's always that sort of like first introduction of the Rangers to Zordon, where Zordon calls them Power Rangers for the first time. He gives them the power coins, and he gives them the choice. And you know, I think that's a very important moment in the show for them to decide for themselves if they want to take on the mantle of hero, and that's something very powerful for the kids. So that's my favorite.
What was your favorite moment? Or a special moment? Character or person?
First of all, I think it was just like super special because I hadn't done TV yet. I was a theater actress since I was really little, so I was learning like a whole new like language basically. Yeah, you learn a lot really quickly being thrown into that, but it was super special, just experience-wise.
That's awesome.
Man, there are so many favorite moments. It's hard to pick just one.
I knew it would be a hard question.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my first day on set, and you know, like many of you, what I had seen was that at the beginning of every movie, you see the big 20th Century Fox, dun, 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 you know, and you're just like, that's so cool, and you knew there was a cool movie coming, and then now I was on set filming for Fox, and there's a director, and those are producers, and look at all these other people doing stuff with lights and costume, and now there's 3 women constantly touching my clothes, getting out wrinkles, and there's a very gay man in my face fixing my makeup going, your eyelashes are so beautiful. And you know, so I'm just like, all of these new first experiences. Like, oh my, it was overload. It was sensory overload. And then Walter, who literally taught me very important things, like when you're gonna deliver a line, Austin, turn and face the camera. I was like, you mean they don't want to film my butt? Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Wrong cheeks.
Not my best side. So it was just a learning curve. I was 18, learning what it was to be a man. I was 18, learning what it was to be a global superhero. And I was a guy who knew nothing about acting. And I was drinking through a fire hose. So it was it was just so many firsts and incredibles and wild moments that go back. I sparred with one of the premier fighting choreographers in Hollywood at the time. He choreographed Blade for Wesley Snipes. He was doing fight scenes for Sean Connery. You know, I mean, like that's who tested me to see if I was good enough, and I passed. I still get excited about that. You know, so it was a lot of really cool moments.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite moments was like Austin said, there was so much to remember. But we did that show we did at Universal Studios, that was crazy. It was like, so, you know, filming TV shows is one thing, because we're on the set and it's a controlled environment, so forth, so on. But doing theater, doing a live show is completely different. And we did this live show at Universal Studios where we backed traffic up from downtown to LA. We shut LA down. The freeways were just closed, 8 miles of traffic. And we did 6 shows in one day at Universal Amphitheater, which is where Michael Jackson would do a concert. So it's like a huge place. We filled it up 6 times in a day. And I just remember, I come from doing theater, and so I'm used to having that instant glorification, like when you perform. But there were things that I had never been on a stage that big, with an audience that big. And I just remember the learning curve. And something that dawned on me the other day is like, we started on these scaffoldings. So we're standing on these scaffoldings, like, and we're gonna jump off. We have mats below. We're gonna jump off, do a flip, land on the mat, and then go down the stage, flipping and kicking or whatever, till we get to the center. We take off our helmet, right? So I'm standing on the scaffolding, and we, you know, the audience is full, the crowd is going crazy, but the lights are shining right in my face, and I'm wearing a helmet, and I can't see. And I have to flip. So I'm like, okay, I have to do a front flip to land on this mat that's below me, but in rehearsals, for some reason it seemed like it was easier. I think maybe the house lights were up, so you had lights in back of us so you could see, but now there's no lights, it's just black. And the lights are in my face, and I'm looking down and going, I can't even see the mat, this is crazy. So I jump off, do a flip, and I'm thinking in my head, I don't know how I'm gonna land this, so I'm gonna overdo the flip and then roll off the mat. That's the only way I can think of to do it. So I do the front flip, I hit the mat, I roll, I stand up. It worked. I was like, I go down, right? I go down, I'm kicking and flipping, I get in the middle of the stage, I take off my helmet, and they go, he dons the power of the mastodon, he is Zach, the Black Ranger, and the crowd goes, and there's lights everywhere. It's like, you know, when you go to warp speed, just like everybody had cameras. They had those little cameras, click, 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 right? So you can not only hear the flash, but you can hear the clicking and the ran. This is 1993, so 1994. So definitely a different time, but that moment will always be one of the most exciting moments of my life because it was unlike anything I had ever experienced. And it was also the first time that we went, damn, we're famous. Like, all these people came to see us. I mean, afterwards, we went, like, Arsenio Hall was in the back, and, like, all these different celebrities were there with their kids, and, like, hey, we want to get a picture, like, okay. Yeah, it was wild, right? It was like, we're famous? We're famous. Oh, we're famous. It was crazy. Exactly. It was a crazy moment, but yeah, it was awesome.
He left out a couple of things. Like, we were supposed to do one show in their smallest theater, which held like 1,000 people. When people started camping out days before the show to get in, they were like, uh-oh. So it became five shows, I think. It might have been 6 shows.
At 5 event, it had a 5,000 person capacity.
Yeah.
Shows 30,000.
We filled it up 5-6 times and then turned people away that couldn't get in. And your parents were nuts because there were little stands where you could get Red Ranger and Black Ranger and Rangers gear. When it ran out, they knocked over the kiosks like stormtroopers. And we broke universal attendance records that day. We led the evening news with Tom Brokaw. That was wild. We were on the same stage as Michael Jackson, Madonna, and Aerosmith. Like, it was crazy.
Great question. Nick, what's your question?
My question is, if you could make a costume Power Ranger suit, what would it be?
Have a cape.
Good question.
I'm a big fan of the Magna Defender design. So anything that possibly had like that sort of medieval knight look to it with a little bit of a Viking influence, I think I would design something like
I wasn't thinking Viking, but I love that. I like anything that's, you know how Iron Man kind of has the armor that, you know, it pops into place? It's like Transformer meets Iron Man. I saw somewhere a guy did some AI art that, and I have a great AI artist right now that I'm doing some stuff with. I would love to see like a hardened body armor with hidden compartments, kind of Iron Man-like, but also with the medieval, you know, the clasps for the cape that go around the neck. So you have this modern, really cool feel with this almost Knights of the Round Table capability.
With the power blaster coming out of the thigh, right?
Yeah. You know, and then the sword comes out of the back and pops out, but you look like you could ride in on a great white stallion, you know? Just like something that would cross those two over would be epic.
That sounds cool. I think I would love to see something. I also saw some AI art that was really cool. I saw this this version of the Black Ranger as like this proud African warrior kind of thing. It was like, and it kind of reminded me of like in Black Panther, the I forget the name of the tribe, the one that they had the apes or whatever. That guy was so something like that. It was like, I think something like that would be really cool. Like that had kind of a Black Panther influence, but more like a big strong warrior. You know, like that. That would be interesting. Yeah.
Awesome, very good question. A round of applause for all the people that are brave enough to ask these questions. What's your name, dear?
My name is Hallie.
Hallie.
So currently I am cosplaying the different Power Rangers series, Power Rangers Jungle Fury. I know that some of you have guested on seasons after Mighty Morphin. Some of you, as Walter said, were offered but weren't able to because of union. So my question is, all of the seasons that came after Mighty Morphin that you weren't in, what, if any of them, would you want to have been a part of?
Ooh.
This is pretty easy for me. I think I would have loved to have been a part of Time Force. Time Force, the story for Time Force, I really enjoyed. The characters were pretty intense, and Vernon Wells is such an amazing guy. To be able to work with Vernon would be like awesome. So I choose Time Force.
I think I would have chosen in space because I think it would have been super dope to be.
In space.
Yeah, in space, I just think it would have been super fun.
I just had a flash of Marina Sirtis from Star Trek. Anybody else see that? Yeah.
I'm not going to tell Marina Sirtis you said that.
She's
she's awesome. She's in person, she is a powerful British personality. Yes. She's an awesome kid, in person and on TV. And pretty sexy too. So.
Thank you for sharing, Austin.
You're welcome. So now we know who she wants to be. I don't know that I can pick another one. I'm kind of like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I love what I did. I love it. Guys that I loved, I mean, Wild Force, I came back and I got to see 10 generations of Red Rangers, which made me feel old. Wow. One of the Red Rangers, one of the youngest ones from Wild Force, first thing he does when I walked up, he's like, "Man, I grew up watching you." I was like, "Shut up." Shut up. I don't like you anymore. Come on. So, yeah. Somebody give me some Advil. My hemorrhoids are flaring up. Yeah. When someone's 22, like, "I'm so old," they're like, "Shut up." So, yeah, it was, that was pretty cool. The Wild Force guys were great, I thought. I don't know if I could pick another one. I would like to have filmed with Dan Southworth. His crew was great. Dan's a great guy. And I don't know, and now there's 800 plus episodes. So you're asking me to like dive through a bunch I haven't even seen yet. So I don't know what to pick. It's like being at the ice cream store with 40 flavors. I'm like, I want them all.
That's awesome. It's also difficult for me to say. I didn't watch a lot of the episodes after our show, so I'm not completely familiar. I am familiar with a lot of the actors because I've grown to know them, which is awesome. I got to see a bit of Time Force, and I just said, when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this could have been fun." I like the whole concept of the time elements, and then Jason Fong played two different characters. I would have loved to have done that as an actor. That would have been great for me, like two different characters in the same show. That would have been really cool. I would say that, but I will say this. I would have loved to have done the first movie. That was my movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, that first movie would have been, I wonder what Hip Hop Keto would have been like in that movie. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what Zach would have put out of the bag for that movie. It probably would have been some wire work. It probably would have been do some really cool stuff. So I think if I had the chance to go back and do something in the series other than what I've done, that first movie would have been it for me.
I think it would have been awesome if they brought back the original five to be the Psycho Rangers in the moon space. That would have been awesome.
Oh. Now I gotta watch Psycho. What's it called? Psycho Rangers?
The Psycho Rangers.
It's in space.
No. They were just like this sort of like a bit of a villain, and it's always fun to play.
I love Star Wars. Look, let's get to the point. Like, superheroes are great, but bad guys are so much fun. And they always get the girl. Like, he had like 4 girlfriends. Billy had 8. He had 8. I was the jock. Like, I didn't even get to talk to a girl until the end of my 120 episode. I got blocked. Just saying.
I did not mean to take some notes on this, Jason.
I had Angela and I never had Angela. Like, that's so close. I'm like, oh, okay.
When are you gonna close the deal? Meanwhile, I was just crying in the background.
It's not close. I got D.
I blame Rita. It's all Rita's fault. It's all my fault.
Go, Zach! Go, Zach! Meanwhile, Billy's walking off with 2 to the juice bar. Man, this is something so wrong.
Remember, you did all the work. Well, Tommy was kissing on Kimberly.
That's right.
Next question.
Hi, I'm John. I got to
Hey,
see you
John.
guys Friday. You guys came this Tuesday. Just thank you for all the work you've done. Power Rangers is really good because of you guys. So.
I have to say, Power Rangers is still here because of you guys. That's right. You guys are amazing.
My question is, mine more being Power Rangers specific. When Tommy came back as the White Ranger, which R.I.P. Tommy, How was it? What did you guys like? What was your favorite part of filming that? I think it was part of like 3 parts.
I don't think we were there for any of those. No, we were there for one part. Yeah. So at that point, we had agreed behind the scenes that we were already leaving the show. And that was the transition because they knew that the 3 of us were leaving. And so we stayed so that Tommy could get the promotion. And then we stuck to our guns and we left. So the next 2 episodes of that 3-parter was literally stand-ins that weren't us. And for me, I don't know who they brought in for you, but to do my voice, they brought in Brad Hawkins, who was the voice of the Gold Ranger and who filmed on Beetleborgs. He did my voice for part 2 and 3 on that series set.
I don't know who did my voice. I just know my hair kept changing. So, is that Zach or not? No, he's not wearing that hairstyle right now. What are you doing? It's crazy. But I will say this. It was anytime we had something drastically change within the show, it was exciting. We're like, wait, what's going on? Like I remember, you guys remember I had a cousin? I had a cousin, I forget his name. He was he played a trumpet. And Curtis. It was Curtis. Curtis was hanging out for a minute. I was like, and then there was another guy. There were like 2 guys that were on the show for a little while, but they came and went. So it was always interesting to have new energy, you know. So I was like, all right, what's gonna happen now? Yeah. It was my dad.
Yeah.
So, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
I was just thinking, we've got 4 of the OG cast here, so could you guys act something out for us? I mean, Minnesota Constant Danger, some morphin' time, and I. Is it possible?
Maybe at the end. Maybe at the end. We'll morph at the end.
Do you have another question? Yeah, all right.
What is your favorite food?
What is your favorite food?
Whatever you want it to be.
She's asking the tough questions.
Depends on moments.
I know it doesn't look like it, but I really enjoy a really good salad. I'm a vegetable guy. I like vegetables, so sorry.
So make healthy choices, kids.
I do eat mostly fruits and vegetables, but going out, I would choose Indian or sushi. Yeah, one of the 2.
If you cut me open, I would lead East Indian and Mexican food. But I love a good steak.
It's changed over the years. Okay, so it used to be fried chicken. That was my jam. It used to be pork chops. That was my jam. Right now, I seem to be in love with seared ahi tuna. I love that. It's like I want to have it at every restaurant I go to. Like seared ahi tuna. She's like,
Do you approve of those? What's your favorite food? Ice cream.
ice cream.
Winner.
What flavor ice cream?
It's fun.
First of all, thanks again. This has been absolutely phenomenal, more phenomenal if I will, and I just did. So I have a question inspired by 2 things that we've heard from you so far from this panel. Going back to 1993, the explosion in popularity, the 8 miles of LA traffic backed up, which when you hear about particularly bad LA traffic, you know it's a national news story. So you realize you're famous, you come back to the set, and then as Mr. Jones mentioned earlier, it is a non-union show. So with knowing in LA how a lot of times those non-union shows, there's such a particular close bond and such a go-team element towards making everything together. What was it like those first few times back on the set when you realized we're doing something that's connecting with so many people? Was it like a go-team, or what was that in terms of energizing the creation?
because they only filmed my character one time and recycled that footage, I wasn't really aware of the sort of close bonding experience of what you're talking about until much, much later. Because I'm not sure if what you're talking about is between the crew and the cast or between the audience and the show. Because working on a television show or a film it can be a very long and arduous process because you have to wait for lights to be set, you have to wait for cameras to be set. There's a lot of work to be done, but there's also like a lot of downtime when you're by yourself or doing things, and they can be very long days. These guys can tell you 16, 17-hour days, 6 days a week. It can be very draining. And I wish I had had more of that experience. What I had out there was just a very brief taste. But knowing what the show means now to everybody, I think we feel a closer bond to it now than what we might have felt back then. I don't want to speak for anybody out of turn, but that's my experience of it. So.
I would have to say I have a similar experience. Not that he was on one, came in once, but when I was there on set, it was all command center scenes. So I was kind of limited to that kind of scenario too. So getting to lead that was just like, I only got to do that once. So most of it was just, limited to that one.
I think we, as a cast, even before we were hired, the five of us, because we kind of figured out in the early groups, because they grouped us together, and we got stuck in a group, and I can remember walking across the street to Bob's Big Boy with our scripts, and I'm sitting down with four guys and girls who all know how to act, and the only thing I knew was that I didn't know how to act, and so we bonded over cheeseburgers and a common will to get these roles together. So in the beginning, we were really close. After a lot of filming, we got closer, we knew a lot more about each other, and there were also things, when you get that close to somebody, you also learn the things you don't like. But it kind of becomes a family, even the set, the guys behind camera. You know, there's guys that I see to this day, I know Walt sees, and the second they walk up, man, it's nothing but love. So you get 120 episodes, you get close to people, and it's pretty incredible. But I don't think I really had a clue. I don't know about you, but the first year we filmed, almost 11 months and like 3 weeks, 2 weeks straight, with Sundays off. You know, Saturday was ADR, Monday through Friday was filming. But I remember Haim Saban, he didn't want to give us a week off for Christmas. I was like, what's the matter with you? Come on.
We had to go to work on the day they had the earthquake.
Yeah, do you remember the big earthquake in LA? The Northridge quake. They called us in to work. My girlfriend's apartment building, the front half of it, fell into the street. They were like, you're coming to work? I was like, I'm checking on my girl, and then I'll see you at work. And she was fine, so then I went to work. But I mean, we were looking in the windows, and the lights were still swinging in the rafters from aftershocks. And then finally, they sent us home. But I mean, it was intense. It was a non-union show. Could you imagine Iron Man, earthquake? They'd have been like, and we'll be off for 3 weeks until the set is secure, and we'll call you back.
After that experience, I think I just remember us feeling like, man, we really have something here. I mean, like, we didn't really know. I mean, like, the first 40 episodes we shot 20 episodes or so before it even aired. I was walking down Venice Beach and I had some kids run up on me and go, hey, you're the Black Major. And I'm like, wait, how do you know that the show hasn't come out yet? And they're like, no, but I just watched your doll and your face is on the box. And I was like, I have a doll. A doll is like a doll. They're like, action figure. I was like, I have an action figure. I was with my cousin Ron. I look at him and go, I have an action figure, my face is on the box. He looks at me and goes, you got an action figure, your face is on the box. show had come out, the toys were so popular, but once we started working, we were like there all day, every day. I mean, we knew the show was doing well because we were getting recognized, and we were going to the grocery store, and the TV guide had our faces on it, and Disney Adventures had our face on it. Team Beat had it like right there. We're like, hey, that's me. Okay, I'll take these pork chops though, thank you. It was like, so it was weird, but I think I remember us feeling like, just like we were all on a high. Like, I can't believe this is really happening. And I remember thinking, my whole life is about to change. It's gonna be like this forever. And it wasn't. but it was, but it is. You know, it's like it's, here we are 30 years later, and we're still here, which is amazing. And gratitude to all you guys, because we wouldn't be here without you guys. You know, like the fact that the show has stood up to 30 years of time, and there's 3 generations of fans is amazing. So what we felt, I guess, came true. But we didn't really know what it was until later years, when you guys actually grew a voice and you start coming to us and saying, this is what your show meant to me. This is how it inspired my life. This is what your show got me through. And we didn't hear those voices until later, until like you guys were like 25, 30 and having conversations with us, and we're like, wow, I mean, I'm so humbled and honored to have made a difference in anybody's life, but to have done it for 30 years in 40 countries and not even know that I was there when I was there is amazing.
Did you get the guy that came up yesterday? He came up to, I think he came up to your table too, and the first thing he said to me, and he clearly had some very clear physical disabilities, and his face had clearly been damaged in severe ways. And he walks up to me, and he's super happy guy, but he was not normal looking. And he walks up and he goes, you know what? He goes, I just wanted to come up. He goes, I can't afford anything, but I wanted to just tell you thank you, because you saved my life. And we've heard this around the world, but it never doesn't hit hard. And then he tells me, when I was 8 years old, I got hit by a truck. You got that guy. And he was just like, and it was because of Power Rangers, you guys would never quit. He goes, I thought about you guys and that you would never quit. And that's how come I'm still alive. And I was just like, what do you say? Like, I gave him the biggest hug in the world. And to think that we had that impact on people is mind-bending to me still. So it's incredible. It really is. And that's why we truly love you guys so much.
Thank you. That's a great question. What's your name? Say again.
Dre.
Right? What's your question?
My question is, when performing your fight scenes, did you ever get any broken bones or bruises when you've been hit?
I think we all can assume bruises. Tell us about the blood and bones.
You have no idea what was going on inside the tube. Some intense stuff. But I never broke bones.
Amazing.
He's mostly a hit, so.
I couldn't exactly have fight scenes, but I did have an incident where when they remade my costume, they didn't put like lining in it, and it was fiberglass, and I had welts from head to toe. And you know, like they have to unscrew everything to take it off, so I'm like, ah! But like that's the only thing I could.
So now you know you can survive torture. Good.
Man, I saw what they did to stuff. Like, I didn't work with her, but Romy, who was in our time, I watched how they put a very full-figured woman into a very square outfit, and she was forever my hero, because I was like, that's gotta not feel good. They taped, I watched them, yeah, they literally bandaged and taped her to death. And I never ever gave that girl a hard time after I saw that. I was like, you're awesome. So respect to her, because she's probably got some terrible stories. But as far as broken bones, I never broke one on set. A lifetime of martial arts, I've broken a lot of bones. But bruises, okay. So I decided one day I was gonna hit the air ram. An air ram is a hydraulic piston that sits underneath the plate. You see it in action movies all the time. The guy's running and then all of a sudden something explodes behind them and they just boom, and they lift and launch. That's an air ram. In those days, there was no, you couldn't tension the ram to start its explosion softly or lightly. It was just, you hit the button and however much PSI you had in there, you got it. And if it was too much PSI, it would literally shut your knee into your hip. So I decided one day offset, I wasn't really shooting a scene. They were like, hey, Austin, they were totally setting me up and I fell for it. They're like, hey man, you wanna hit the air ram? I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. They're like, all right, we're gonna set you up. You should fly about 20 feet, just tuck in the air and you'll hit the mattress. I was like, sweet. I don't know how much PSI they put on that air ram, but I missed that mattress by a good 6 feet. And, I went tumbling and rolling, and my back probably hurt for 3 days after that one. So that was the worst. It could have been really bad, but it wasn't. Maneuver.
I never broke a bone, but my muscles were tired because I would pull hamstrings because we get up we'd be there like 6:30 in the morning. We go out in the cold, like it's still damp, the grass is still wet. We set up a fight and we like rehearse it. So our bodies would get hot, we get heated, we would do our fights and then they go, okay, we're gonna dress the set. So they do lights and I go back to my trailer where it's cold and my body would get cold again and they go, all right, we're ready to shoot, like maybe an hour later, and we get out and my body would be cold and I have to do these fights and I would sometimes pull muscle because I wasn't completely ready yet anymore. It's like I had lost my stretch, my body got cold. There was one incident where I had a fight with a putty and we were doing this gimmick where we're on the ground, I'm above him and I hit him in the stomach and he comes up and then I hit him in the face, he goes down. Stomach comes up and face goes down. Well, it worked half the way because I hit him in the stomach, he came up. I hit him in the face, not really. He goes down, I hit him in the stomach, he comes up. I hit him in the face, but he comes up a little too far. All I hear is him go, ugh! So instead of he was and I was like, my face was petrified because I could feel that I just smashed his nose. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm about to stop, and the director's going, keep going. I'm like, okay, I'm fighting the rest of the putties. And meanwhile, this putty's on the ground going, in the set, and they finally call, cut, and I go back over, I'm like, bro, are you okay? And we take off his putty face, and the face was putty. So it wasn't good. That was, and thank God for the stunt. The stunt guys, they put in a lot of work, they put themselves in danger, and yeah, that particular stunt didn't work out real well, but yeah, I was like, sorry. And he's okay now. I think his nose looks better.
He's got a story to tell anyways. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. Thank you guys for sharing your stories with us.
Guys, we have photo ops now, so if you are coming over there from photo ops, come and see us. If you haven't been by the table yet,